Hi, welcome on in, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to yet another episode of the Just Gaming Tingz Podcast. We bring you an all queer perspective on video games, gaming news, and nerdy stuff every single Saturday live on Twitch. We are at twitch.tv/slash Just Gaming Tingz with a Z. And we're also on multiple other platforms under that same, username or, you just have to look it up on like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all that fun stuff. And yeah, but you can actually see the podcast being recorded live on Twitch, which is the cool and fun and fresh thing. I don't know what I'm saying. Hi, I'm Ruby. Hello. And today on the podcast, joining me, we have the iconic Koga Jangles. Hello.
Hello there. Hello, I'm here this week.
Yes, so nice to
Mhm.
have you on board. Did you have a good week? How was your week?
It was pretty hectic from work, but then it got much better yesterday. I'll talk about that later.
Oh, uh-huh. What a
Ooh.
little sneak peek.
No spoilers
No,
yet. No.
no spoilers, not that.
Oh,
No spoilers, but we do have Pants here. The IRL Pants joining us
Real
today.
me. Hello, I'm not a virtual person today. I'm having a good one. I don't
Being
know. It's hot
iconic.
outside. I'm dying.
Oh
oh,
no. Listen, it may
And Miss
be
Ariana, you could slide into my DMs anytime.
more on that
oh
later
my lord.
too. Absolutely. What a week. If I'm gonna,
Yeah.
talk about my own week briefly, it was definitely interesting to say the least.
Something
Uh,
is in the air this week.
yeah, I don't know. It's something in the air, but y'all are here to hear us talk about gaming things. So enough about us, right? We do have one topic that was suggested by our wonderful friend Ruin Crown, who unfortunately couldn't make it to today's podcast, but of course, we have Koga who can take over and present the news, or I guess the topic of conversation to our friends. So, Koga, what happened?
So apparently, Ninja's Twitch viewership dropped by, it says, a whopping 50%. Um, so pretty much from what it is that I'm seeing here is that he's pretty much been a person who's always played kind of like battle royale games, Apex, definitely Fortnite, which is one of the games that I think that's where he got. Yeah, that's the game that he played a lot that a lot of people were paying attention to. So recently he was playing Final Fantasy 11, which that game is pretty old now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how old that game is. It's been around for a while and it's still going. So when he was streaming that, apparently his viewership was around things like 2,000 views. When normally when he's streaming like Fortnite, it's usually like around like the 10,000. So it dropped, a digit or so. And I mean, I don't. That's not a surprise to me. I mean, I don't think that's like an issue. I think the bigger thing is it's just that some viewers are there for the game. Some people may not really care for Final Fantasy 11. Like I say, it's an older game, so it can definitely be a thing to where if you play something that some people may not care for as much, they won't show up for that. But if you play what they're there for, they'll do that, and that can be kind of like the difficult thing about streaming one game or just one specific genre is that when you change, that can be a little bit difficult, and some people won't return for that. Which, I mean, in my opinion, I understand it. I think that's fine. I think people can watch what it is they want to, but I do think a thing that can be discussed in there is like how, as a streamer, how do you, handle that? Because some people are, fine with it. They like to be able to just play what it is they want. Because I can tell you from experience, playing a game that you don't really care to play and hoping that people show up sucks. Because one, you don't really care to play it, and then what if the audience doesn't show up, especially if it's a game with spoilers and whatnot. So for me personally, if I really just wanted to play something and it was less people, I would be fine with that because to me, video games are supposed to be fun. For me, like like an escape from real world things. So if it's something I just really have my mind set on playing, I just play that. That's just me personally. But I know some people aren't going to always go that way because some people want to have more of an active chatting in the chat and whatnot, which is absolutely fine. There's multiple ways I feel to run a stream as long as you're not bothering nobody. But that's just my take. Pants, what do you think? How do you handle, situations like this, on your channel?
Yeah, I feel like, first of all, it's definitely something that happens to every streamer at some point. I would say I could specifically talk about especially the VTuber scene because there's like a whole big thing. It's a little bit different, but like there's a huge thing about just like the debut and everything. And it's kind of like I feel like a and this is kind of a little off topic, like I said, but it's like that's the day where like a lot of people maybe show up. Same thing with kind of like, birthday streams and all of that. Like you can kind of expect that. Or same thing if you're like streaming maybe like something that's a little bit more popular or like has a dedicated fan base. Like when I stream Identity 5, maybe there's going to be more people because they have a very dedicated fan base, but not many streamers. Um, but like on the VTubing side, it's kind of also like the debut. A lot of people think like whatever your numbers are during the debut is kind of your numbers like for the rest of your streaming, which is very false because that's a day where everybody's trying to like make sure that they show up. Um, and I feel like that could kind of go alongside because everybody expects Ninja to be streaming Fortnite. So when, if somebody is like just more, into one game, like Debbie Delight and all that, it's like if they're not a variety streamer, in a different like in the aspect of like very much different games and genres, then I feel like you lose your numbers are going to fluctuate because like people are more dedicated to maybe watching Fortnite or they're more dedicated to watching another game. Maybe they want to just see JRPGs more. And you're also going to get a different audience with that. So like reading this, it just kind of comes out as like I don't know. It's like it's the basic struggles that a lot of streamers deal with. So it's not like the biggest news or anything, and I get it, but it's just like I feel like it's partly like good. It shows more people like this is what happens to anyone, even the bigger streamers. And also 50% for like him is huge, I will say. That's a lot of people.
Right.
50% for like anyone below like the 100 viewers isn't as bad. But like for him, what is he hitting? Like, I don't know, thousands. He's like maybe it's a huge amount of people. So it is pretty wild to see like that happen. Because I feel like also I would say for myself, maybe, that sometimes I will see like bigger streamers and I'm like, oh, like they're fine. Like no matter like what hits them, like they should be fine. So it shouldn't be like, as big as a deal as for like other people who don't have as many viewers too. So I don't know. That's my little rant.
No, you're fine. Like it's totally like we don't usually talk a lot about like streaming things here on here, even though all of us are streamers. So it's definitely like something that I feel like not a lot of people are like aware of as far as like how that goes. But at the same time, I totally agree. Like from the streamer perspective, this isn't really news because this literally happens to like literally all of us. Like
Mhm.
like especially those of us who don't really dedicate our stream to like one particular thing. It's like one day you're playing a game and sometimes you're playing the same game a different day and you get less viewership or more viewership. Like it's just so inconsistent, especially with like the back and forth lately of like some places opening up, some places closing back
Mhm.
up, and like all of that is also super inconsistent. So like I don't this isn't really shocking to me. I don't really particularly care about like, oh, how well Ninja is doing, because for me it's like, oh, poor me, I'm still having thousands of viewers. I'm like, okay, sure, I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Final Fantasy 11 apparently is 19 years old.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it came out originally in 2002.
Yeah, it came out like on the PlayStation 2 and whatnot.
Yeah.
That's pretty old.
Wild.
Yeah.
But I do want to also add, like, I don't know, a lot of people also need to understand, like, there's so many factors that, like, Ruby kind of pointed out earlier, that it's just like, you know, things are opening up again. It's also summertime, so people are like
Right.
wanting
Yeah.
wanting to go out, actually, even like to the beach or, walking or anything. Literally, there's an art festival right outside my door, so there's people out there. So it's like there's that. Kids are off too, so they do have more time to watch, but then at the same time, they're trying to, you know, go out more since they've been inside the whole time. And it's like it's gonna happen. Like, different seasons are going to give you also different viewers, different numbers, depending on just what's going on. Plus, it's not like just there's one streamer too. Like, people want to find other ones or they want to see other games. Not everybody's going to keep going to like the one streamer every day and be like, let's see this Fortnite for the 30th time.
Right. Yeah.
Some people are, but not everybody is. And it's like things are going to change. Like, I mean, personally, my interests change all the time.
Yeah.
I want to see something else sometimes, and then I get hooked into maybe one more thing, and it's over.
No, for sure. Yeah, like yeah, this isn't really like surprising. I will say like my own relationship with how to navigate these things myself is that I just kind of do what I want. Like I don't really like I had this conversation on my stream a while ago, and it's always fascinating to me the concept of like someone who has a 9 to 5, for example, that they don't like, and then they're like, "Oh, let me start making content." And then they start slowly but surely making themselves feel as miserable about content creation as they were feeling with their 9 to 5, because they're trying to like grind it out, quote unquote, or they're trying to like get the viewers, or they're trying like, and they're doing all these like strategies and all these things that don't always necessarily align with like what they want to do, or it becomes too repetitive because like, yeah, I mean, it's undeniable that like if you only do one thing and people know you for that one thing, like, yeah, it's gonna like they're gonna be there for you for that. But the second you stray away from it, even people like Ninja like literally lose out on half of their audience because of that. So like I think for me it's always been like it's as like weird and like narcissistic as it sounds, it's more like people are going to be there for me and my interests, right? Like the draw for me and my channel specifically is like whatever my interests are, and what I want to showcase, whether it's like a game that I grew up with or a new game that I'm interested in. So and for me you just have to kind of accept that like the viewership is going to fluctuate, and just kind of do it. But I would rather that than like be miserable doing something because I feel like I have to do it. And I've seen so many
Hmm.
creators kind of do that. And I feel like I'm kind of surprised it didn't take Ninja a shorter amount of time to get there, because I feel like we've all seen those creators that are like pushing for partner or whatever, and they do that one game that they like get traction for, and then the second they get partnered they're like, okay, I can relax now, I can do other things now, and then their viewership drops again to where they were before they got partner.
Hmm.
um
I saw someone go through that, and I was like, I told you this was gonna happen.
Yeah, like
I
it
felt
happened.
really bad for him.
It happens to so many people, and yeah, it's definitely like a thing that I'm like, oh no. When I see it happening too, I'm just like, oh no, they're doing the thing that I've seen other people do. But yeah, this just goes to show. But he is definitely in a position where he can do that, though. Like he doesn't
Yeah.
need like 3,000 more viewership. Like he has, an average of 3,000. He'll be fine.
Right. Like
It's just that when you if it's when it's something like you play one thing and it's like just completely different genre, completely different style, it'll
Yeah.
always, fix that. Like I remember one time I was playing Dragon Ball Legends, which was another gotcha game, and people were there for that. But of course, people like to see you, summon gambling and get excited for you get something you want and get upset when you don't. And then they added like a PvE part for it because that game is mostly PvP. I stopped playing that 2 years ago. That's why.
Oh well.
But like after that, you switch to something like Hatsune Miku, and ain't nobody there. Who's there for
Okay,
that?
but it's
It's just like
iconic.
that, of course. And it's just like that sometimes. And I think that's fair. I mean, a lot of times there are going to be viewers who are there, for you, the personality. But there's just so many other variables, not just games, but just how many other creators are there. Like over the goddamn almost said pandemonium, but
Well,
pandemic.
I
close
love that.
enough.
But it's like there's just been a lot of new creators coming out, and so people have been finding new people to watch, and some people don't watch more at one time. So if it's like there's two people they both like and one's playing something they're more interested in, that's probably where they're gonna go. Which like I said, that's how it is. Variety streaming is just like that, and it's unfortunate. It's one of the things that you got to deal with.
Also, Twitch does everything in their power not to count viewers too. So
Yeah.
I mean, I
Is
don't
it?
look at my numbers, but like I like to always just believe that Twitch is not counting probably like a couple people.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
muted. That don't count.
Yep.
It's
If you
it's
mute
such
it,
a
if it's under
thing.
20%
Yeah.
audio, if you come in from a raid and you don't take out for a raid.
Yeah. Wait,
They do
do
everything.
that now? Goodness gracious. For all I know,
Mhm. A
And
lot of stuff.
yeah.
nice going, Twitch.
Yeah, good job.
Speaking of numbers, though.
Oh.
Oh, segue.
Uh-huh.
An unopened 1985 Super Mario Brothers game just sold for a record of $2 million, which is wild to me. And the
Mhm.
previous record was for also for Super Mario 64, but it was 1.56 million. So it was on Friday. That record got hit, and I'm amazed because, as I was saying earlier, before the stream started, I just imagine having $2 million just laying around for Super Mario Brothers, which I get it because I'm a collector and I would love to have like these rare items sometimes. But it's also a game that you could play right now, on, like your Switch, or if you get the SNES too. Um, but it's kind of interesting that there's a new record that it went by like what 56. I can't do math.
Math.
56,000 got surpassed from the previous record to the newest record. And what do y'all think about that?
I mean, my first instinct was like, yeah, imagine having $2 million to spend on an unopened SNES game. Imagine, imagine that. My second thought is, that could never be me. I could never be the person to have an unopened item because let me tell you something. If I buy something, I am opening it, I'm putting it on display. If it's a game, I'm playing it. If it's an album, I'm listening to it. It's just like, I get it. I understand that, that idea of like, having something and like keeping its value. But for me, like, whatever it is, like, I don't really collect like game stuff, but I guess I do collect like K-pop albums. And like for me, the value in it is not necessarily like keeping the value of the items and not touching anything and whatever. For me, the value in it is like opening it, going through it, and seeing all the little items that come with the albums, and um, flipping the pages on those gorgeous photo books and all that stuff. So I think so yeah, that was like my second thought. And the third thing was like something that I wasn't aware of that existed. So um this is from like a website called Rally, and in this website, I did not know this was a thing. Like I've known of like auctions and stuff like that, but people can actually like invest in an item so they get a share of like the profit of that person. So like for example, one of the people um like they invested I guess like $100 and they got $950 back because of how much it sold. So for me, I'm like, hold on a damn minute. I may not be the
Hold up.
person I may not be the person who has the items, but I could just invest in some of these and I can get some monies back. So like
The the way that I'm about to be on that site in a second.
yeah,
Right.
I was not aware that that was a thing at all. But yeah, I mean, not sponsored by Rally, but let's, you want to sponsor us one day? Who knows? Maybe we will accept you. Uh,
Good one.
We're waiting.
we're waiting. We're waiting. Um, but yeah, those are my main thoughts. Like, damn, that's profitable. Could never be me. Could never afford it. Um, and yeah, my other thing is like I kind of this I feel like as gamers, I feel like in culture, I feel like we've gone too far. I feel like we've gone to a point of no return. And what I mean by that is like we've seen what happened to the Pokemon cards. You know what I mean? It's just like stuff
Oh
like
my
that where
god.
like things are just like completely blown out of proportion as far as like their value. Um and it's just wild. Like we see it with scalpers, which we talk about literally every time a PlayStation 5 story is in our document. Like it's just wild to me. It's just like we've gotten too far. And it makes me kind of like I guess my last thing on my rant is like it kind of makes me a little sad that sometimes it's like you watch someone like opening like a pack of Pokemon cards and it's like the conversation isn't about how cool the card is. Sometimes it's like how much it's worth. And like
Oh yeah.
sometimes I've started
Mhm.
seeing that happening with K-pop albums too. Like people pull a specific photo card and they're like, "Oh my god, this photo card is worth this much," and it's just like I, I don't know. Maybe people find interest and value in different things, but for me, it's just like it feels like we're almost taking away from like the joy of all these things, and we're making it more about like the money, and we're turning these things into like investments and whatever. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I do want to add, sorry, Koga. Or actually, Koga, you go. I'll make closing remarks.
I don't understand why someone would pay $2 million for this. Like, I
Thank
really
you.
don't. Like, it. What? Like, I really want to know. Like, what's the point? Is it just to have it so you can just sit it somewhere and be like, "All right, I'm never going to use this," but
Hmm.
it's $2 million of a game that you can beat like in an hour.
I think it's
You
for a
can't get it.
display, right?
I put it on display above
Oh,
my toilets.
I
I
mean, I
put it
guess.
over the porcelain throne because that's how much it means to me.
I
Right
mean, I
next to
guess,
your
but that's too
tushy.
much. That's just I don't know. I don't. For me, I couldn't do that. But
Yeah.
the price, these people and how they've been selling like the price of these games and whatnot. It's why like when I started like wanting to like collect 10 years ago, I stopped real early because this just costs way too much, and you can like buy it off of the store if they put it on sale, or the precious under other means. Because I'm not about to pay like $2 million for like a copy of Super Mario Brothers. Like I like the game, but it's not that good, and I don't think there's any game that's that good. And I don't like people enough to put it on display for them. Like no, if I'll put that on display for me, but I don't like it enough to do that. For $2 million, I can do a whole lot of other things. Like I can get like a whole lot of food, right? And then go to like maybe some restaurant that has something that could be called like symposium of ecstasy that can just be like 8 different types of meat. But no, I went and got like $2 million for Super Mario Brothers. Like I just really want to know like why. And like, are you just gonna like maybe sell it at higher later on down the line? Because I mean, it might at this point because it keeps getting higher. But I can't do that. Like I'm sorry, I'm more so there for like the gaming experience and experiencing the game itself than owning it, and that was the fun for me, like collecting them a few like I had to look at the calendar to see what year it is. Oh my goodness.
Oh
Um,
no.
for like 10 years ago or so, because it was like at the time I never played like I didn't ever play like Castlevania Bloodlines. And I wanted to play it. So I went and bought it so that I can do that. So I planned on playing the games that I bought and bought the ones that were like closest to me. If I had a game I didn't play, it was because it was just there, maybe like $2-3. But I don't know, that's just me. I don't understand. And I would like someone out there to help me understand like why you buy this game for $2 million
Oh, and by
instead
the
of
way,
like
the person who
some.
sold it, they got it for the value of $150,000. I think, if I'm reading this right, maybe not. Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. They bought the game in
Yeah.
April of last year for $140,000. Wild.
And then there was a investors total of 150,000 in August. Oh,
Yeah.
Grief.
I'm about to
Which
invest. No,
turned
I'm
into
kidding.
300,000 later.
um,
Yeah. It's wild. It's
it's
fucking wild.
wild.
It's too much.
I will talk about it as a collector, but not like that kind of collector, because no, I am not spending that money. Um, but I am like a person who likes to like get things that I love is a thing. But obviously I'm not gonna spend 2 million, nor am I gonna spend probably like 200 plus, really. Maybe 100, it depends. But like 200 on one item that I
Right.
really, really want. That's like maybe it's just gonna sit there. Like it's different than, of course, like household wares and all of that. But I am somebody who's kind of been around the game, both on Pokemon and gaming, and now K-pop. And I will just say that I don't think there's anything that I like for gaming wise. I always open it. Maybe
Mhm.
if they're unopened, it's mainly because I haven't played it yet. And I just forget, or I open it and I still don't play it because I have a long backlog and I still want to just keep buying games. Um, Pokemon wise, I am the person who's just like, I like to have the cards. I don't want it to be like, oh, it's really valuable. It's like, oh no, I just want the cards.
Right.
Especially if they're Pokemon that I like, if they're pretty cards, like I just want them. And I could pull out my stash if I wanted to, but I'm not. But there are some things that I do keep like sealed, and it's not because of value, it's because I'm just too scared to open them sometimes. And there's just that aspect for me. So I don't like the whole thing of like, oh, it's sealed and I'm just keeping the value. For me, it's like I have it sealed because I just don't know what to do.
Right.
Like I have a couple like Nendos, which are like figurines, basically, like little mini ones that I got in like throughout this like the year and everything, and that are still unopened only because I don't know what to do with them. I don't have like another shelving space yet to put them up and like actually put them together. Um and then there's like other figures too that I've had even longer that I just like to keep in the box because I'm just like, for part of me is like, what if I open it and it just combusts? so, so I
Yeah.
will never understand the whole aspect of I'm keeping the value because like I'm like literally just too scared to open something. I have sealed notebooks because I just don't know what I want to do with them. and I sold one, and not like for like a high price. I literally sold it for under the sticker price that I paid for, only because I was like, I don't need it anymore. I just need to get rid of it.
Right.
I don't want to like upsell it or anything because I don't care.
Right.
It's just like I was too scared to use it, and then I don't need paper goods anymore. Like I don't, or at least that paper good anymore. So that's my only aspect on keeping things sealed is just I'm just too scared to open them. But eventually I will.
One day. The
One
second
day.
you get an extra shelf, it's over.
Mhm. But yeah, like the most games that I collect that I've actually like collected, because I don't really collect them, it's always like something that I want to eventually play, or it's a series that I really like and I just maybe want all of it. Skies of Arcadia. Hello. And I will say that is a series that I've definitely talked about probably many times, but is one that's actually has ballooned in price too. And I just have to say thank you to my younger self for keeping the game, because older me would have never paid those prices for it, no matter my love for it. So I have to be like, thank you, younger self, for not giving it away at like a garage sale for like $10.
Right.
And
Oh
I
my
will
God.
never sell it. I should state, I will never sell it because it's my favorite. But I bought like I'm talking about my GameCube one, because the GameCube one was more overpriced than like the Dreamcast versions. And now I've been noticing that the Dreamcast versions have been going up in price. I don't know why, but they're going up in price. I saw them the other day when I was just looking at CDs.
Yep.
And
It's time.
yeah,
Dreamcast
and
is going up now too.
I'm kind of glad because I love the Dreamcast and I think it deserved a lot of love. I have a Dreamcast. I have a couple games that I've bought. Like I bought some that I've had because a lot of them switched over also to GameCube. So I just like bought the Dreamcast versions because I wanted to see how different they were as well. And I just care about the Dreamcast. That's all I want to say.
Iconic. Yeah. I mean, my and this is as I transition to our next story, like what the thing that I kind of like or I prefer to see happening to like retro things, as much as like preservation is a cool thing. I think it's also super cool when people mod stuff and they like just transform it into like different things or new things. And so there was a YouTuber that basically created a PlayStation 2 handheld. Um, so the YouTuber is called Ginger of Oz, or that's what they go by on Twitter, Ginger of Mods. Um, and they basically took the original motherboard from the PS2 and got a bunch of things. Go watch their YouTube video because it's gonna be way better than any explanation that I would give. But they're known for like turning other like consoles and other things into like portable items and modding consoles and all that. Um, so they've turned the PS2 into the PS2 Eclipse. And I just this is iconic. Like the PlayStation 2 era for me is so special because I just like loved it. I feel like that was like my peak before like I kind of stopped playing games, or at least as much as I was playing when I was a teenager. And so yeah, it's not on sale. The apparently this YouTuber used to like sell like a portable Wii that he made, but then like apparently the demand was so much that he got burnt out and like he's not doing it again for the PS2 Eclipse. Um, but the reason I wanted to bring this up is one, would y'all, if Sony said hi and they bought this prototype from Ginger, and if they sold it officially, question number one, would you buy it?
100%.
Yeah.
I want to play Ape Escape again on the portable, on the toilets. It's always for me. Can I play on the toilet? Yes, it's sold for me.
I
I mean,
I
I'd
love
definitely
that.
buy a portable. I'm just how would I get to play the games?
It seems like it's an emulation system for it, which I
Oh,
would love to see something that was like that, and I could still like somehow get like the PS2 games that I already have put onto it. Maybe I would love
Hmm.
like some kind of system. I know it's portable, so I can't like it's got a small space. I don't think my discs are gonna like
Fit
go
in
in
there.
there. Unless they make it like a little bit bigger, probably, and just like it's just a big device.
Yeah.
But it seemed like they put it onto like a USB drive, and it's kind of just like emulators that are put onto it. And it says it did kind of like stutter slightly, but they weren't like bad.
Mm-hmm.
And the battery life, at least for this prototype that he was making, is about 2.5 hours, which is very low.
I mean, yeah.
Very low for that. I don't want to be sitting with like a charger basically to make sure it's alive.
Right.
But yeah, I would love if Sony, please do it, but knowing Sony and how they treat their handhelds, it's gonna be terrible even if they tried.
Right.
But if they did, I would love a way where I could just play my old games too. So I won't also have to spend the extra money sometimes.
Yeah.
Which leads me to question 2. If this was, because we know that they probably would do this like as like a PlayStation Classic sequel. They wouldn't just be like, here's all of the games, everything is playable. So if you could choose like 5 games to be on the official PlayStation 2 Eclipse, 5 must-haves, which will lead to a total of 15. You know, basically we're coming up with a lineup of games. Because 5 each, you know, there's 3 of us, 15, basic math, you know. I feel like we could go like one, and like we could like choose one game at a time and kind of go around. So I was thinking, I feel like a game that is a complete necessity to have on something that would like represent the PlayStation 2 lineup without being too cliche, but 100% being too cliche. Final Fantasy X has to be there.
Damn it! I was gonna say that.
Final Fantasy X needs to be there. It was such a classic. It got us the most iconic Final Fantasy meme of all time. And it just has to be there. It just has to be there. It's probably my most played PlayStation 2 game. So yeah, that's my first choice. What about you, Koga? What would be choice number 1 now that I stole Final Fantasy X from you?
That was so rude.
Not y'all fighting.
I would have to say probably.
10-2.
See, I'm not the biggest fan of 10-2. The gameplay is cool, but the story is like, okay, never mind.
And the music isn't as good. Well, besides the performances.
Yeah. I guess probably I would have to say Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Like, if that's doable, you kind of can't go without that. I think at the time it was exclusive to it. I don't think it came out on Xbox, but I know that game was like pretty big. I played it like a lot when it came out, and that was probably one of the only times where in science class everybody stopped what they was doing. It's like, all right, let's talk about San Andreas. That was like the only game.
Okay, so Pants, if you could choose your first game out of the 5 games, which game would it be that you would like?
Ape Escape 2.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Absolutely. As everybody knows, my name is Pans Trebian. It's a namesake from these games. I would want specifically 2. Also, because Ape Escape was on the PlayStation 1. Ape Escape 2, because also, and I want it to be the US English voice actors, not the UK voice actors, because it is the voice of Ash and Misty are also in it, which I think is very iconic.
Oh, that's iconic.
Right? So, like, it's literally just like you're watching like another Pokemon episode, but you're like, clearly it's not Ash and Misty. But yes, Ape Escape 2, it means a lot to me. I want to see all my apes again.
That's iconic. The props, the reveal, all of it, just extremely
I got
iconic
more.
in every way. Ah! I'm so excited. Okay, my second choice would be Tekken 5. And I say Tekken 5 because I think, if I'm not mistaken, Tekken 5 was the one Tekken game on the PS2 that also you could unlock the previous Tekken games. So you could play all of the previous Tekken games within the game. So for that, that would be like the most complete version of Tekken up to that point, I guess. So I think Tekken 5 would 100% have to be there. Um, you get a history lesson with all the previous games being in it, and you also get the best Tekken game up to that point. So that's my choice. Second choice, Tekken 5. Koga. It's gonna
You're
get
doing that
harder
on
the more we go
purpose.
through it.
Yeah, because you keep taking my game. I would have to say probably Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist of the Roses. I really liked that one. It was like back in a time where they would make a game and it did follow the card game rules, and this one was kind of way different. But I did like playing it a lot, especially after you learned like I can't. I guess they call them like the crush monsters. It was very odd. What they did was that there were certain monsters that pretty much, if you beat them, that the spaces around them would have the same effect as the crush card virus. So you would just put them somewhere. The AI, because it's the AI, would just go against them, beat them, and then that space only for like your opponent. They couldn't like put monsters on that area. So you just start running through the AI like real quick. But I did like Yu-Gi-Oh games a lot back then. I mean, I still kind of do. It's just that now it's either following the rules like completely or it's gotcha.
Mm.
I love me some gotcha.
Oh my god. At the time, it made me so sad because I feel like they completely refused to put any quote unquote normal Yu Gi Oh games on the PS2 because they did the Capsule Monsters and they did Duelist of the Roses. And that one was like, I feel like I never got past the first level because I just did not understand how the game played. It was like almost like a chess, almost like
Mm-hmm.
a tactical moment, and I just did not understand it as a kid. So I think I sold it as an adult. I just went to this store and I just sold it because I was like, I never understood this game. I never like played it. I kept the cards, but because it came with like three little cards, but I did sell the game. And I kind of regret it because now as an adult I'm like, I feel like I want to get into it and like understand what I didn't understand as a kid. But that's a really good
Upsetting.
choice. Ant, what would be your second game?
I would have to say Drakengard. I am gonna say it, the very
Oh.
first Drakengard, which is the game that started it all. Here's a history lesson for y'all who like Near Automata. Okay, we wouldn't
Uh-huh.
have Near Automata without this damn game. It is the game that started it all. Literally, one of the endings spawned Near, and then Near got Near Automata. So of course, I want the origins. I want y'all to know about Drakengard.
I feel like you've been waiting for to have this conversation for a while.
I am always very. I just get very, excited about talking about Nier and Drakengard. It is about time. It's been what, like, oh my god, over 20 years, I think.
That's
It's
wild.
about time that we get either a remake, a remaster. Even if it is just on a Portal system, everybody needs to start playing it. It's clunky, but everybody needs to play it.
Iconic. So this is where it's gonna start getting a little bit more like tricky, because like I feel like I almost want to do like games that aren't like the obvious choices. A part of me wants to include like a SmackDown versus Raw title, because those games were so iconic at the time, and I just loved them. Um, I don't remember which one it was, but like there was one of the games that included ECW as well. So like there was like a huge roster of characters to choose from, and like there was this game mode where it was like you were basically the show manager. So like you set up all the matches, the storylines, you did like all of that, and it was so much fun. I remember like creating also my own characters and all of that. I don't know if they would do it because licensing, but I just remember that being like a
With
series
ECW?
that um just like in general, I don't know if like the
Yeah.
it would be able to be a thing because like they have their like their new games that they promote, so I don't know if they would allow for like an older SmackDown versus Raw or any
Oh.
WWE or anything adjacent to like come back from the dead, if you will. But those games were so much fun, and they definitely marked my my teen years. So I would say any of the SmackDown versus Raw. Definitely not one of the like the later ones. Definitely one of like the early mid ones because those were better. Because then they,
Yeah.
once they came out like every single year, they just kind of started decreasing in quality as the
Well,
years
they
went
always came
by.
out every year.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, they used to be made by I think it was Ukes and the THQ, and then it eventually went over to 2K. And when it went over to them, they started going more of in the direction of like realism simulation. And I mean, some people like that. I don't. So not as fun. So yeah, the WWE games have since SmackDown 1 came out every year, except last year because I guess COVID happened and they released some WWE Battlegrounds, and that wasn't great either.
Well.
But yeah, they're releasing another one this year. Now they just call them by the year, like 2K22.
I don't love those. Like I get it. Like they probably sell every year and that's why they do it. But like yearly game releases are just never as great as if they just took some time and they just called it something like flashy and fun and weird and whatever and just yeah. So I would probably go with 2006 because I remember that was a good one.
Yeah, that one was a good one.
Yeah. I feel like games just need to stop doing the yearly releases and actually put that time into like making titles more polished and everything too.
Yeah.
But people keep buying it.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Even like when there was the 2K20 drama, people still bought it. So
I got that for free. That game. That game literally like just completely crashed after my first match, and I uninstalled it.
oh no. Fail.
That game was pretty bad.
Should we get into our third games? What about you, Koga? Did I steal this one too from you?
No, I don't think
Good.
so. I would say probably Soul Calibur 2. Though this isn't the version that I would prefer, because I mean, obviously the GameCube version is the one everybody wants. But Soul Calibur 2 is still like really good. This was like back like right after the first one, and people really loved the first one because it was like a technical showcase for the Dreamcast, which was an amazing console, by the way. Definitely agree. But this one was just it was a lot of fun to play. I mean, I don't know about balancing at the time. I mean, I was young. I wasn't caring about balancing. But the PlayStation 2 version, you had Heihachi from Tekken. He didn't use no weapon. He used his fist. So that was something. But Soul Calibur 2 has definitely has been considered like one of the better ones, and it even got like a HD remix, HD re-release during the PS3 and 360 era. But you had like that, and you can like go through. I think it was some mode where you can get like other weapons and whatnot. So it was good for like good on single player content because not everybody has someone to play with. This was before online was even a thing, so it was definitely a good game to get, a good fighting game to get if you wanted some single player content.
Ane. And what is your third item on the list?
Oh god, I'm like looking at a bunch of games right now. I'm staring at a few. But I have to say this one because it's been staring at me the longest right now, and it is Beautiful Joe. Now, let me talk about Beautiful Joe. It's iconic. It's probably not the greatest, but in my heart, it is the best game that has superheroes in it, I should state. like superhero adjacent game. They had the cool mechanic where you could like slow down the time and everything.
Ooh.
Yes. And like it's basically before the time of Platinum Studios. And I still wish that they were going to announce that. It looked like they were going to, but nope, they cannot because it's a Capcom game.
Oh well.
But I do wish to, to maybe eventually get some more Beautiful Joe coming around sometime soon. And also it had Dante from Devil May Cry.
I love
He
those
was in that too?
crossovers.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but there he is. It's
Oh
like
my
this.
god.
And it was very I don't know. It's such a quirky game and I really loved it. And there was like what, two of them I think, but it was just cute. And that's why I love Bayonetta again because
Aw.
Beautiful Joe.
Iconic. Wow. There
On to
was
the fourth game.
I feel like for the sake of time, I think we should do like our next two ones just like quickly on our next on our turn. I'm thinking one of mine would have to be a racing game called Midnight Club. And it was like it was kind of like it kind of had story to it, kind of like how Need for Speed kind of did. But it was, I don't know, it was like cool. Whatever cool was in like the early 2000s. I don't know, I just really, really liked it. It had like different types of races too. Like they had like chasing things. They had things where you had to like win that race, finding things throughout the city, all of that. And there were like, I don't know. I just remember having a lot of fun and with that game. And I would say my last choice. It's actually so hard because there's so many good ones. Um, but I feel like I would have to go with another game that shaped my teen years, which was Sonic Heroes.
Ah!
That game may or may not be very frustrating, or not very frustrating, a little bit frustrating as an adult, but it was iconic at the time, and I just can't, not have it, you know? What about you,
I
Koga?
totally agree.
What are your two last titles for the PS2 that you would have on this collection?
Um, if it was possible, I would say probably Need for Speed Most Wanted. That game, I didn't play the PS2 version. I played the 360 version, and I know they're pretty similar. This is probably still to me like one of the best ones that I've played. It was a lot of fun. You pretty much had to go through a most wanted list. Who could have guessed? And you
Wow.
had to like beat them. You had to like do like some missions and whatnot, then beat them in like 2 races or something, and then try to get a pink slip, which means you get their car. I can't tell you how many times I hit the reset button because it's like you beat them and like there's like a few cars that show up, and you have to hope that the one you pick is like their pink slip. And if it's not, well, I'm just gonna reset, not the whole game just before the race because I want the car, so I don't have to spend money on cars. So that was definitely something I really enjoyed playing, and I don't feel. I mean, we've had a few decent ones here and there, but it's like that one was just a lot of fun to play, and not to be confused with Most Wanted 2012. That game was a mess, unfinished to say. Like unfinished uncooked spaghetti. See the next game. I would probably have to say it's rough because it's
Hmm.
between two, but I would probably have to say maybe NBA Street. I never played the third one, unfortunately, because this was during a time period where I wasn't able to buy my games yet. And when I was, I got home court. So I would have to go with Volume 2. This was very just arcadey basketball. And I don't care for sports, but arcadey sports, Give me more of that. And this game was just always fun to play. You could create, of course, create your own character, play some teams, and just do over the top tricks that would make absolutely no sense. But it wasn't supposed to. It was fun, and that's what it was. It was just fun, and we don't get those no more.
Yeah, like there used to be one called FIFA Street as well that was like soccer. It was the same concept but with soccer. And I remember like obviously not being a huge sports, gamer, but that one was so much fun too. I remember like I had a friend in school that had that game and we would play it and it was so chaotic and fun. It didn't make any sense, but fun was had and that's all that matters. I don't know why, game devs aren't making these types of like silly and fun games anymore. They want it to be so realistic and serious for some reason.
Open world pain games are the only way
Zombie apocalypse.
that they live. Yes. I would say my last two games that I would love to see, I am holding them graciously.
Yes.
Is like if you like the award-winning Persona 5, and if you like the award-winning, I don't know if they were.
We're just gonna
oh
say
my god,
it.
why can I'm thinking about everything else. Xenoblade Chronicles. Why don't you play Persona 5, Persona 3? I only have Persona 3 FES. Persona 3 or Xenosaga, and ignore the old used sign on here. This is back in the day, GameStop era, where they just stuck the sticker right onto the game case, and you just had to cry about it.
Oh, no.
This is very old.
You could try to take it off, but it might end up looking worse because you can't get it all off.
Yeah, exactly. So you might as well not. But yes, if you love Persona 5 and if you like Xenoblade Chronicles, why don't you try out some of the predecessors? I don't know words.
Classic.
But and I do have the other two of Xenosaga sitting here. There's 3 games, but they're all iconic, and that's all I gotta say. And I just have to say that I love that all mine are like this theme of Japanese games right now.
Love that. Love that. I feel like if we got what we wanted, this would be a really iconic collection. Let me just say, like, if I saw this on sale and all of our choices were there, I would be like, oh my god, I feel like I need this. But yeah. Anyway, speaking of things that are actually maybe potentially happening, Koga, I know you have a story for us.
Yes. So Marvel vs. Capcom 2 has been considered probably one of the greatest fighting games of all time. Even though it's totally busted, it gave you like everything you wanted in the like kitchen sink. It came out back in 2000 and had like 56 characters, 23 from Marvel, 23 from Capcom, and it was a 3-on-3 fighting game, which was an upgrade for, well, depending on your point of view, from the previous one, which was 2-on-2. So this game came out on arcades and then came out on Dreamcast like soon after. Oh my god, the hours I poured into that. And then PlayStation 2, that was bad. Xbox, and then eventually about 2009 or 10, they re-released it on PlayStation 3 and then Xbox 360. And then because Marvel, it got delisted about, I would say, what was it, like 2012 or somewhere around that time frame. It didn't last, or was it 2004? It didn't last that long. It's been gone for like a while now. And unfortunately, there's no way to buy that game unless you plan on going on eBay or something and spending $150, $200 something for a copy, which people aren't going to really want to do that. Most people just play it like on Fightcade or something, but that doesn't have rollback netcode. So a few days ago, Maximilian Dude, who of course a huge fan of the Marvel vs. Capcom series, so he started a hashtag, which was, I had to make sure I say it correctly because I almost said something else, free MVC2. Because what he wants, and what a lot of us would like, is for Marvel and Capcom to get together and re-release it in some way. He started this on Twitter because he eventually first started on his Twitch stream, and then he put the video out on Twitter, and it just blew up. It blew up more than a lot of us thought that it would. But it's such a huge game for that around that time that if you're in arcades around that time, you more than likely played it. Like it was a very loved and cherished game, and still is to this day, like 21 years later. So the the developers that did the re-release for the PlayStation 3 and 360 was Digital Eclipse. They did like an HD release. It was in widescreen, but it's still an option for 4:3, and it also had rollback netcode. This was the first time rollback netcode was done on a home console for a video game. Rollback netcode started like in the 2000s on PC, and we still have to fight with devs about that to this day. Imagine that. So one of the developers who was with Digital Eclipse said that they're actually on board to do it, but we have to wait for Marvel and Capcom to say yes. Now, for the past 4 years, quite a few of us thought that this may not happen because we have Marvel versus Capcom Infinite. Long story short, that was a train wreck. And Marvel can be pretty petty. I'll leave it at that. And that was one of the reasons why it didn't do well, because they were kind of petty about like the X-Men and things like that. So about last year or so, there was an One Up Arcade. There was a arcade cabinet that had some of the versus games like X-Men Children of the Atoms, Marvel Superheroes, X-Men versus Street Fighter, and Marvel versus Capcom, which would mean in some way Marvel and Capcom are still like at least okay. So it's like if they're down for that, we would like to see this game come back. And now we have a developer that's also okay with that, which makes it easier because sometimes when bringing out games, the issue is finding a developer who's able to do it. So we have that. So now we're just waiting for Marvel and Capcom to say yes and re-release it with rollback netcode, please.
I have so many thoughts because I will say that Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is probably the first fighting game that I can remember playing, and also the one that I cherish the most. Also, I remember playing it in the arcades. It was always my favorite game. Maybe an awakening was happening. Seeing all the Dark Stalkers characters, which also brings up a point where Dark Stalkers was kind of teased, but then it obviously fell through. And it would be really nice because I feel like a lot of the new generation kind of knows some characters from like older Capcom games, especially. And I feel like obviously Capcom would probably have that with like some new characters too, but it would give people kind of like another opportunity to see these characters again that have kind of just been like lost to time, and actually get like a good representation of them. And also, I should add, yes, they kind of been around. I refuse to look at Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and up.
3 was good.
But 3 wasn't terrible, but 2 still holds a very special place in my heart. And I would actually really kind of hope that it still keeps kind of the same style. I don't want to see it in 3D. I'd rather still see it in kind of like a 2D
Yeah.
look. I think that has the more charm and everything that I'm used to. Obviously, they probably still would go through 3D, but seeing how 3D has gotten, I don't know. I don't want it. And I would really just be excited to kind of see it kind of back in the mainstream. Like it's kind of always there, but I would like to see it like, maybe be like headliners at Evo more. And it's just kind of like you know, just a remaster or anything of it. And then also get like all these new players who are getting into fighting games, like especially the newer age fighting games. And getting them back into an old game that's the best, in my opinion.
Yeah, there. I mean, there is hope for it because the Digital Eclipse, they ported the Disney Afternoon Collection, which was like basically a collection of NES Disney games, and so we know that Disney and Marvel, and so I think it's just a matter of getting everyone on the same page, and I mean, if they see the demand, I can see both parties being like, well, we can make money, so maybe. But then again, they did take it off of stores, so maybe I don't know. I don't know what's going on their head in their little heads. But
That was due to licensing.
yeah, which Marvel and Capcom were like, well, I don't want it. I don't want it to be out there. I don't want to make
Oh,
money.
they did. Long story short, this is when Marvel was just being really petty with Fox, and they wanted X-Men, and Fantastic Four, and Fox wasn't really able to give that up. So Marvel was trying to just act like that wasn't a thing. So anything that kind of they had them in, they eventually said, okay, forget it, and it got delisted. Same with Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, that also got delisted at the time. But then they did let it get re-released in 2016. But Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite didn't have like X-Men and all those characters, and that was why. So it was just basically Marvel being just really petty about not having those licenses.
So would Spider-Man be an issue though? Because
No,
Sony.
No.
no. So this is a confusion that people have always had, which is I've seen with the whole issue with like him being exclusive to like PlayStation. They only own the rights to the movies. This has been shown because Spider-Man was, and of course, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and on the Switch in Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. So they own the rights to the movies, but not to his character in video games. It's
Got
just
it.
that people kind of think that, and that's inaccurate.
Okay, good. Good to know.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would love
Spider-Man's all over the
this.
place.
Yeah, I would love
Yeah.
this game. Like my cousin had it on his Dreamcast and we had such a blast. Even though we neither of us were really like Marvel people and neither of us were really like Street Fighter or like, just general. I mean, we were into Tekken, but we weren't like super into like Street Fighter at the time. But this was so iconic that we spent so much time playing this game. It was so good. Like the art style was amazing as well. Like just please bring it back.
Please.
It would be so good.
Very good. Well, speaking of fighting games, let me talk about
Uh-huh.
one of my faves. One of my other faves. Granblue Fantasy Versus. Okay, which is already iconic enough. I love Granblue Fantasy. It is a gotcha game, but also very grindy too, I would say. It is a lot, but it has a great story and everything. But they have a fighting game that came out last year, I believe. And they just announced a new character. She does not come out until December, which is like,
Oh well.
hold up.
That's a
But
while.
they announced Miss Vira, who is a lesbian icon, which is amazing because now we have 3 characters that are queer in Final Fantasy, Granblue Fantasy Versus, which I think is just I had to talk, just come on here, be queer, and talk about another queer icon, and it's great. She's very much in love with a character called Catalina, who's already been in the game since release. She's another sword lady, and it's like it's fully canon. Like she just loves her so much. Uh, as far as we know, they're not a couple, but please. They get as close as possible, but it's really nice to see, some queer representation and especially fighting games. I feel more now, and then I just love seeing. It was about time. I feel like everybody since the beginning with the initial roster of Granblue Fantasy, which is very small, so it's been like a lot of DLC characters, which is like money, too much money for all these characters. Great for me because I get also in-game rewards for the mobile game. But it's really nice because there's 3 representations. So Vera is lesbian, and then there's 2 characters, one from the original roster, one that was a DLC character that are trans canonically.
Iconic.
And it's so nice to just see representation. So I just wanted to rant about
Yes.
representation in games. We love to see it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that because I feel like sometimes I mean, it's in the nature of like talking about what's going on. We focus on negatives and like what someone did wrong or what a company could have done better as far as representation. So it's really cool to see that yeah, we're getting like that representation slowly but surely. I will say fighting games have been kind of better at it than a lot of the other genres at bringing representation, because I remember they didn't do it in the best way, but I remember Poison Trans Icon being like one of the first, few trans characters, which wasn't handled very well, or
Hmm.
at all.
No, it
um
was
No.
but I feel like at the time, feel like for queer people, we always needed to grasp at like the little crumbs that were given to us. And thankfully, times have evolved to a way where she can exist and not be treated horribly.
Hmm.
So that's also amazing. And yeah, like it's very surprising though that it's like, yeah, like this does make sense because the fighting game genre kind of has done that, where like with androgynous characters, with queer themes and stuff like that,
Hmm.
like um because I
I
feel like,
keep looking at. Oh,
no,
sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I keep looking at Guilty Gear Stride, and I'm like, hey, what are you gonna put Bridget as a DLC character? Because it's been a very long time since he's been around, and I would love to see kind of like how this character will be portrayed, and especially like the world now.
Mm-hmm.
right.
Because I think I like really grasp on their character, which is okay, not the greatest representation or anything, but I just really love it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, with fighting games, I guess it's easier for them to just say that a character is queer because a lot of them don't really have like a huge story mode. So it's like it's there, but they don't have to get too much into it if they don't want to, which they usually don't. So it's like it's there, but like, yeah. But
Yeah,
Yeah,
those sometimes they'll
absolutely.
they'll put it there or just put it there like mildly and then leave it there because they did the same thing with Kun Jin in Mortal Kombat X. Um and he because what happened with he of course is also the descendant of Kung Lao and he broke into Raiden's temple to take I can't remember what it was and Raiden of course knew he was up just angry about things and told him go to the academy and he felt that he wouldn't be accepted and he says they only care from what's in your heart, not whom your heart desires. And the internet was like, what? And then like one of the developers kind of confirmed that he is a gay character.
ooh,
Unfortunately, they didn't bring him back in 11 for some reason. He's
okay.
mentioned like throughout though, but it was just nice for them, at least to do something and make it more of a thing. Because there are like other characters in other fighting games that I do like a lot of the times they just it may be mentioned or hinted at, they just don't really say anything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But for this game, I think it's great. I've never played it. I've heard about it, but I've never like played it. But I think it's good that they do have more representation for people who are looking for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of gay rights, Ariana Grande has hopped on Fortnite, and not only can you have yourself an Ariana Grande skin or Ariana Grande related items, you can also attend the Rift Tour, which is a virtual, basically like concert, but it's okay. So this is my first time. I'm not going to spoil anything because I know that our very own Pants wants to experience the concert. But I had never attended a like an in-game concert before for Fortnite, so I had no idea what to expect. But it was like so interactive. There were like I don't want to say too much, but there were like mini games within it that you can kind of interact with things and do things as like Ariana is there and music is playing, and it's really iconic. I was in a voice chat with our very own Dextralicious and our friend Mana Rissell, and we were dying. We were in this voice chat. We were screaming. We were. It's just like it's really cool to see, like, because obviously concerts aren't really a thing, for obvious reasons. But it's just really cool, like seeing that, and it's also cool on the other side, like being Ariana Grande and like killing homophobes and people dressed as Rick from Rick and Morty, uh, as Ariana Grande, holding like a rainbow gun from their Pride thing that they did. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to share that as we kind of get into what we've been playing, I will say Fortnite. Ariana Grande kind of brought me back to Fortnite. I got the Fortnite crew because I didn't want to pay the $20, so I just paid half of it to get the remaining V-Bucks that I needed to get Ariana in my game. It's so much fun. The concert was amazing. I'll probably rewatch it multiple times because it was so good. And yeah, there's that. What have y'all been playing? Oh, I've also been playing Pyre. Sorry. It's a Supergiant Games. It's an older title. Supergiant are the people. For people who don't know, they made Hades. Okay, okay, now you know. Cool, we're caught up. And it's like the game plays like a visual novel, in which like you have choices. There's a lot of reading. There's a lot of dialogue, and then it has like RPG mechanics with like a skill, like little skill trees and items that improve your stats. And then the gameplay itself, for like whenever there's like fights, it's like soccer, but it's like, yeah, it's like there's two goals. You have to protect your goal, and you have to get there's like a little ball that you have to put in the other people's goal, and like they can kill your characters respawn. It's honestly weird. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like it's not the kind of gameplay that you would expect from an RPG game. But at the same time, like that's kind of what makes it interesting, because you're like, this is weird, but I'm intrigued. And also like the story is very compelling. And that's, I think, the main draw from it is like the story is very compelling. The characters are very interesting, and like everything is so mysterious that you just want to find out more and more and more. Um so yeah, if last year you got into the itch.io bundle that they did for the Black Lives Matter movement, this game was on there. So yeah, if you happen to have bought that bundle, it was like a huge bundle that had like 100 games or something like that. Um, you can find Pyre in there and you can play it if you want to. Not sponsored, but yeah, what have y'all been playing?
Well, I was still going through Pokemon Shield. Um, Not sure how farther I'm going into that. It's okay, but it does quite a few things that I kind of like. Okay, I'm bored.
Mm,
It's easier than I thought it was going to be. I heard it was going to be easier hand holding. I didn't know it was going to be this bad. It's really bad. And and then I've gotten to a point to where like I'm in the, what do you call it? The wild area. That at first I thought like the Pokemon that just, well, for some reason they were like too strong and you couldn't catch them, which I hate that. There would be the ones that was like in this like open area. Some of them also apparently in the grass. So now it's like every time I turn around, I see something I like, I want to catch it, and I just can't. So you got to progress through the story, but it's boring. So it's not a bad game, I don't think. It just that they really went a little bit too much on making it simple, and I don't really care for much of what's going on in the story. So I'll probably I do want to at least get to the DLC, but we'll see. I did play a little bit of Pokemon Unite. I haven't played it that much this week because of a game I'm about to talk about after that. I do still enjoy it. I don't remember what rank I'm at. It's not that high. But I like playing Lucario, though. I know they did a balance patch, and the first thing I looked was like, don't touch him. They didn't, which I'm happy about. I mean, unless it was a buff, then go right away. Go right away. Buff him. Buff my character, please. I don't know. I like enjoy playing him and doing like some of his combos to where it's just when you get put in the right situations and it just makes you feel like ridiculously powerful how you can just run through things. Of course, it is an objective thing, but sometimes you gotta run through some people because they're just in the way. So it is fun playing him. I know they had the conversation of the whole free to play thing last week. It is, but as of right now, I'm just going to. I haven't paid any money for it, so I'm just going to enjoy it while I can. And if I end up not liking it, then I'll just stop playing it. I didn't pay for it,
right.
so on that. So I think it was about last week or so. Square Enix released the first three of the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters. that some people are upset didn't come to PlayStation, Xbox, and the Switch yet, which I don't know about that. But for you PlayStation people, now you know how it feels when I don't have Final Fantasy VII Remake, you bastards. Anyway, so I started playing the first one, and I've actually never played the original 5. I played 7, then it's some 8, 9. No, I didn't play 9 yet. 10, and I eventually went to play 6. So this is my first time playing through the first one, and I do like it so far. I really also like the way that this game looks. From my understanding, it's not as grindy as the original and has like quite a few quality of life improvements. So far, I really do like it. Like it has a map of where things in the like upper right, so I don't have to worry about where am I going. But it's definitely an old school RPG. But I do like it so far, so I do want to go through 2 and 3. I'm concerned about 2 because I've heard on how you level up in this game. Why is it to level up your HP to get more of that? You have to like get hit or just hit yourself. And I'm like, oh, that's gonna be interesting. I see why it's considered like the black sheep, but I didn't pay that much for them. Like I got them off of Green Man Gaming. They were like on sale, and I spent like maybe $27 for like all 3. So it was like get it on sale. I feel it was worth it so far. All right, so 2.5 months ago, I ordered something, and it took forever to get here.
Oh,
God, it's a thick boy.
it's a K-pop album.
Oh my lord!
Not a K-pop album.
It's a False 2 controller for Sound Voltex. You press buttons and it lights up.
Yes, that looks so fierce.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. So it took like 2.5 months for it to get here.
That's
Basically
amazing.
because COVID. They had like some disaster with like flooding or something over there. I think it was because I think they're over in Hong Kong, I believe. So I have started playing Sound Voltex again. I was playing it like a few months ago, but then I stopped after I ordered it because I was like, I want to play through the songs with the controller. It is a lot more fun with the controller, and the lights. Of course, it's not necessary, but it looks like really nice. With shipping, this cost me like $270. But after playing it like all yesterday, I really like it. So I'll be playing a lot more Sound Voltex again because I have at least a good 400 songs I haven't played yet. Because since I haven't played in a few months, 1 month they added. Well, I bought 2 DLC packs because they were on sale for Golden Week, and then they didn't release any free songs for that month. Then the next month they released 79, and then the next month it was like 19, and then this month is 23. So I'm not gonna count all that because math sucks. But I have a lot of songs to go through, and I wasn't even done with the ones that was already there. So yeah, I've been having a whole lot of fun with this for like the past day. This controller is so sexy, I swear to God.
It's iconic.
It's really cool.
It's amazing. Yeah.
As for me, I was on it wasn't a long hiatus, but I was on a hiatus, and during that point, I barely played any games. I will state, but I have been playing Fortnite as well. Miss Ariana, I did get the bundle. I had to. I was showing it off yesterday. We didn't get a win, but I was happy just to be as Ariana. Mobile games. I haven't played like Honkai in a little bit, only because I literally have just been like either working or couch potato, really, and worried about other stuff. But I did just download a game, and it's called Where's Tess, and I believe, my understanding, maybe Afro Latinx character, and well, I think that it's like an Otome game, but I think you get to also like romance a girly, and I said, you know what, it's my time. So it's really nice to see, like, because MiHoYo just released theirs, and I played a little bit of it, and it's like nice because it's like Ace Attorney in a way, because it is the whole thing of like you're a lawyer and everything. So it's kind of got like this cool aspect to it, but I do not care for it.
Real.
I'm probably gonna delete it. Um, Interesting story and everything and the characters, but I'm just a little tired now of just seeing the same shade of character. And sorry, and you also can't change your skin tone, so you're just like you're just a girly too. So I like Otome games. Sometimes I like those like Otome games, but I like the ones where either I don't know what my character looks like, obey me, or I'm playing Where's Tess, and it's nice to see like some diversity at least. So yeah, that's my only thing about that. So it's been a little bit of mobile games, and I'll get back into Honkai eventually. But it's my favorite, and also the blah. I've been talking so much, I'm losing my mind.
No.
The Genshin collab that's in Honkai ends soon, so I just need to like do some of the rest of the story and a little bit of grinding in there, so I can get all the goodies. But Miss Fischl was free, and as she should be, she's iconic.
Iconic behavior all around. Where can people find all of us? We can go again, Koga.
Well, you can find me on Twitter and here on Twitch at Koga_Jangles. I'd probably gonna be playing some Voltex on stream soon. Work has just been very irritating for the past few weeks, to put it lightly. So my people energy when I get off is kind of like almost non-existent, except for my roommates. They're cool for the most part. But yeah, you'll be able to find me here, and I'll be probably going through that because I have a lot to go through. I might do some of the Final Fantasy ones because I don't like reading like a bunch of text. But this game doesn't have a whole lot of text to read. It's just go somewhere, maybe grind a little bit, don't die. So I'll probably do some of that this upcoming week.
Awesome. Convenient.
Hello. Yes, you can find me at Pants Trabian on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Maybe I'll be doing some YouTube videos, some videos
Ooh.
eventually. I'm still debating on the content. But normally I'm a VTuber then. And since I just got off my hiatus, actually yesterday or Friday, I was playing some Fortnite with the squad. I'll be probably streaming like more Identity 5 again. I'm thinking of changing some of my content where it's like, especially games that I've been liking a lot more now. So Identity 5, maybe some Near Reincarnation because it would be maybe better to stream it, or I'm not sure yet on that one yet. But that and Honkai Impact because it's also taken over my life.
Yes.
Mhm.
We love to see it. We love to see it. You can find my content at Project Ruby on Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter. The Project Ruby on TikTok and Instagram. I also upload YouTube videos. And recently I uploaded a K-pop haul video, and you can see the unboxing for that. But the upcoming video is going to be, or video, is going to be a reaction video actually to Sunmi's new release. So I'm very excited. I still haven't recorded it, but it's gonna come out on Wednesday for everybody, earlier for Ko-Fi supporters. And yeah, I'm just like excited to do like weekly videos on there, and then of course the streams, which I'm actually gonna stream tomorrow, which is probably today by the time this podcast is out, or yesterday, who knows. Soon, recently, I'm gonna finish Pyre. I'm super excited for that. And I'm going to start a new series called Ruby's Retro Roulette, which is basically I'm going to be playing through games for like all the years that I've been alive for. So like the first game is going to be from 1994, the year I was born, and the people voted, and I'm going to be starting the series with Donkey Kong Country. So I'm just very excited for that series and like play through games from like all the years up to whatever year, either this year or next year. By the time I'm done with the series, who knows when. But I'm just like very excited to see like what games were popular at those specific years, what games people are want to see, what games I want to play, and all that fun stuff. So it should be really really fun. But yeah, that's it. As far as Just Gaming Things, we are going to bring back more gaming streams. We have been missing making them, but we're gonna get everyone's schedules together and we're gonna figure out what times and what days work best for everybody. So, because we do want to make more content for y'all, like fun games, Fall Guys, probably Pokemon Unite, probably Fortnite, like a lot of like fun multiplayer games, so you can see us outside of the podcast together having a good time. Um, and you can find us on all the platforms like, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that stuff at Just Gaming Tingz, Twitch, Just Gaming Tingz, and YouTube. You just gonna have to look us up at Just Gaming Tingz as well. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Have an amazing week. Stay safe. And we'll catch you next week for another episode of Just Gaming Tingz Podcast. Goodbye.
Bye.